What up, everybody? It's your boy Garden Sound, and today we're going to be hitting you with the reverse bird box challenge. So instead of not being able to see, I'm going to not be able to hear what I'm writing and what's going into the computer in Ableton. It's going to be kind of a fun challenge. I'm hoping to get some other people on this, so if you're one of those people that wants to challenge yourself to just a silly little challenge on YouTube involving music, then this is the one for you. What I'm doing today is writing a 16-bar loop in Ableton without being able to hear what I'm doing. Now, this is going to be kind of interesting when it comes to sound design. This is going to be interesting when it comes to something like sound design because I'm not going to be able to tell what I'm manipulating. So that's going to be kind of funny. I'm going to be trying to make a synthesizer sound the way I want it to sound without being able to have any feedback immediately. The rules are this. Has to be 16 bars. I have to turn off all monitoring before I start the project, and I can't turn on any monitoring until I'm finished, right? And then I cannot make any changes after that. So I'm going to be doing my entire mix, master, sound design, and everything without actually being able to hear. Now, in theory, this shouldn't be very difficult for me to do from a musical standpoint because I was trained as a composer on how to write music with pen and paper. So I've been doing that part for a really long time. That shouldn't be too difficult. Getting rhythms correct, getting the notes correct, not a problem. The real challenge is going to be whether or not it sounds any good from a sound design perspective. So let's just go ahead and freaking jump into it. Okay, all sound is off. And let's go ahead and get 16 bars looped in. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get some drums going, some like... I don't think I'm going to use any drum samples because, again, I can't really hear what samples I'm using. I could cheat and use some samples that I use all the time, but it might be a better idea for me to use like a drum machine. So let's use the 808 core kit. This is one of my favorites. Picking instruments here. So we've got an 808. I'm going to get a piano. So let's go to plugins, native instruments, contact. Cool. 808 piano. What else do we want to put in here? How about just, I got an idea. Let's test my actual knowledge of massive. Let's put massive in here and I'll see if I can make a massive patch. An 808 piano pluck. I say we need 2 more tracks. I'm going to make a rule where we at least need 5 tracks. So if you want to do this at home, 5 tracks minimum. Okay. Oh, how about Vacuum Pro? That's a pretty easy one to kind of understand and see what's going on. Okay. So we've got analog-ish. One more thing in here to really round things out. Let's see. Don't know what these mean, so we're just going to pick one. Cool. All right, here we go. Let's start writing. I'm going to start with my drums because that'll dictate our rhythm. All right, kick. So let's see, how many times are we going through that? So and then one more little on the very end. That'll be the first 4. We'll take it again, and that'll be our 8 bar, and then we'll vary it up on the end of the 16. And we're going to take these down to like maybe -8 or so. Just that's a good starting point for drums. Our world percussion, we'll put this in next. Now, this thing says, without any visual feedback, that without any auditory feedback, we've got variations, phrases, single hits. Single hits are C3 up to C4. So we're going to just write in some random sort of on the grid between C3 and C4. I can see that on the screen there. I'm not sure what these are, but we want them to repeat regularly so they'll sound normal. Cool. And then piano, let's see here. Well, let's just go with my favorite chord of all time. How about that? D minor, minor 7. What am I doing? I can play this on the push. I don't have to hear it. We'll have the D go down to a B. And we'll just repeat that twice. And on this final chord, it's back to D. That's a B natural. It needs to be B flat, F, and then we'll take the C up to a D on that one. So it's B flat, D, F. If we want that minor, minor again, This needs to be a G sharp or an A flat in that case. We can also flat this one. No, we leave this one alone. That'll sound pretty cool. Sound kind of jazzy. All right, now let's take all these and make them about right here in terms of hardness on the piano, like the velocity. And then we'll throw OTT on it, and that'll make it sound super, super cool. Take the highs down a bit. All right. This is going to sound like garbage. Okay, my friends. Now what we're going to do is put the same MIDI onto the pluck channel, except that we're going to duplicate this and put it up an octave. And then we're going to toss an arpeggiator on it. How well does Gardner know massive? So I want a square pluck. So let's see here. We'll stick with the current preset. We'll put this all in series through filter 1 and filter 2. Everything's going through filter 1. Oscillator 3 will be off. We'll add just a teeny bit of white noise through filter 1. No feedback and no inserts. And we'll just put this into, well, we won't even use this reverb. So, we don't even need a filter. We can use Ableton's because it's got visual feedback. It's not cheating. All right. So, square pluck. Let's go to the envelope. Just one oscillator here. Actually, we could do both oscillators and detune them slightly, which would be kind of interesting. All right, so this pluck needs to be very much an attack, way more louder. Less decay, more release. That's pretty loud. Let's take it down some. And what we'll do is we'll add audio effect. We'll add a little bit of reverb to it. Special, 6 seconds. I know this plugin really well. 25%, just so it's real airy. We're going to add a little bit of widening to it with Polyverse's wider. Just a touch. Just a skosh. A skosh, you might say. Fancy side chaining. I'm just going to use regular ass side chaining. Coming from the 808's kick. Post effects. All right, now we're going to take the same notes from the piano. This is just like arrangement. So the composition here isn't difficult. Down an octave through Vacuum Pro. And I'm not even going to do anything to it. I think the default in Vacuum Pro is pretty cool if I remember correctly. Except that we're going to roll off all the highs. Just like this. We'll add Saturn crossover at like 120 hertz-ish. Turn it up. All right, how are we doing? Let's use Spectrum. That's better because this is more like 60 hertz right here, which is a good sub. This is a good sub place, but it needs to be louder, like around -6. We can increase the volume this way, so we're pushing it into the grade a bit. Now that we've got this rolling, let's mix it without hearing it. So starting with our drums, let's take everything down to nothing. The drums also should probably go through a drums bus just so they sound chunky. And we will mix these in together. Dampening all the way up. Transients, we'll juice those up just a bit to 0.2. Comp on. I'll drive it a little bit less, like maybe 10. Medium. How are we doing on our level here? We're hitting right at 8. Perfect. Let's bring it down 1 decibel. So our snare's about right here. That means we have too much kick, too much boom. So let's turn this down. All right, good. Let's take the level of the kick down just a bit extreme. This hi-hat might be a bit too bright, so we're going to take that down a few decibels. That's a little better. Okay. Our world percussion, we'll start mixing that in. Keeping an eye on our overall over here, which is about -7 so far. All right, let's put these at like -10 so we can just kind of barely hear them because we can see it is peaking a little bit. And we're going to add just a bunch of reverb for funsies because I don't know what these sound like, so I'm just going to wash them out, and that'll make anything sound good. All right, piano. Let's bring this in. We want to definitely be able to hear this one. Cool. Let's bring in these plucks now. And we'll bring in this bass. All right, we're hitting about -6, so that's about right. Let's slap one of my mastering presets on here from a real cheap and easy plugin, a little Ozone 8. All right, cool. And we'll put this mastering preset on it. All right, let's take a look at the maximizer right now. We could bring this threshold way down. It's not quite the sausage it needs to be. Okay, we're hitting -10 LUFS. Let's see how this sounds. Oh, that lean right there at the very end on this chord, it got a bit crunchy with the theory. This is something that Philip Glass would do. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. It's crunchy. It's fun. Not intentional, though. I was just playing around with the notes. I knew they would work together, but I didn't know they would sound that way, so I have to admit that. The beat overall is pretty boring. I think that's the conclusion I can draw here, is that without my ears, I make pretty boring shit if I'm just going like based on notes on paper. Okay, cool. I hope this was fun. If you want to do a project like this, maybe don't. See ya.